ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. Elevations, higher terrain, mountains were always important. I have never done it, but I know people that go up mountains. It's a challenge to try to reach the peak of a mountain. And of course, once you are there, you have an extraordinary panorama. You see the world with different eyes, really, than you do from a lower terrain. So therefore, mountains are very important from many different points of view. From a military point of view, it was very important in antiquity. But even in our own days, the Golan Heights were very important for Israel, because while they were under the dominion of Syria, many sorts of ballistic missiles or simply shooting from up there onto kibbutzim that were below. And it is much easier to throw a stone from high up and it will go down by gravity than it is to throw something up. It requires different force. So the Golan Heights were very important for Israel. Well, in Jewish history, we have two mountaintops that are very important. One is now Har Habayit, the place where Abraham showed his willingness to offer his son Isaac Yitzchak as a sacrifice, and on which the Beit HaMikdash was built and unfortunately destroyed twice in our history, once in the 6th century and once in the 1st century of the Common Era. And of course, nowadays there is a mosque there, but we still have a wall, which is Kotel HaMaravi, which is as close as we can really get to the Beit HaMikdash today. But there is another mountain, and we are about to commemorate Shavuot, which is the anniversary of when God gave the tablets of the law, the Torah, to Moshe and to the Jewish people. Where did that take place? We all know. That was in Mount Sinai. As soon as our ancestors left Egypt, their first point of interest in the desert was really to reach Mount Sinai, where they would be given the Torah. The Torah itself says that God said, don't come too close to the mountain, don't touch it. You know, this is a holy place. Only Moshe was going to go up to receive directly from God the law. As a matter of fact, according to our rabbis, only the first two commandments were pronounced by God, because the people, when they heard God's voice, started to tremble. They were very much afraid. So Moshe repeated the other commandments. But it was a very important moment that took place, something that it won't repeat itself. The Torah was given forever. This Torah won't be changed. This is one of the principles that Maimonides teaches us. This is an eternal law. We don't have any other law. There is no New Testament. There is only one Testament as far as we are concerned, and that was given on Mount Sinai. Once our ancestors left Mount Sinai, they continued on. Do we have people going yearly to Mount Sinai to pay our respects to this mountain? After all, we are Jews because of the Torah, and the Torah was given on Mount Sinai. Is there a holier place in this world than Mount Sinai? I think there is a monastery that was built on Mount Sinai. As a matter of fact, according to archaeologists, we are not really sure whether this is Mount Sinai. There are several mountains around. Maybe one of them is Mount Sinai. Why is there no effort really to identify the real Mount Sinai? Let's build a beautiful synagogue on what we find as the real Mount Sinai. There seems to be no effort. Why? Maybe because Mount Sinai was holy only at that moment. When God gave the Torah, when we were present, when Moshe was there, then it was a holy moment. And Mount Sinai served as the place for the holy moment. But once the holy moment ceased, Mount Sinai is no longer that important. You know, our ancestors built a tabernacle, Mishkan, while they were in the desert. This was a portable Beit HaMikdash. They built it, stayed in a place, they started traveling further, they would disassemble the tabernacle, carry it, and go on. When they disassembled the tabernacle, were the pieces of the tabernacle still holy? The pieces of wood, the cloths that were used there, they were wood and cloth, nothing special about them. It is only when it is built as a tabernacle, when God makes His presence felt there, when we use it to communicate with God, then it becomes holy. What I'm trying to say is that it was God's presence. It was the Jews who were present there when God gave the Torah. That made Mount Sinai holy at that time. But God is still holy. We are, in a certain sense, also holy because God gave us part of Himself. He blew into our nostrils nishmat chayim. It's like a part of God. So we are also holy. Not only are we holy, we can sanctify things as long as we follow in the tenets of the Torah. That is what gives us really sanctity. What is Shavuot according to the prayers that we say? Zeman matan Toratenu. It's the epoch of the year, it's the time of the year when the Torah was given. But we should really convert that into Zeman Kabbalat Toratenu. We have to convert this into receiving the Torah. God gave it, but we have to receive it. You know, Pirkei Avot, part of the Mishnah starts like this. Moshe kibel Torah miSinai. Moshe received the Torah from Sinai. It doesn't say about the giving of the Torah, because once it was given, that was an event, one time in history. But the receiving of the Torah has to be repeated. Really, every day you have to receive the Torah. Now, what is your duty? Not only to receive it, you have to transmit it. You have to make sure that you give it over to the next generation. So you have to build a generation of receivers. Are you making sure that the next generation, your children, your grandchildren, will be ready to receive the Torah? Maybe you'll be able to give it because you received it from your parents and ancestors. Now it's a question of them receiving it. So make sure that in your family, you are not only the giver, but you are building also receivers of the Torah.